And welcome back to the IPF World Championships live in Holmsted, Sweden at Lico headquarters. We have the 74 kilo open. I am six-pack Lapidat, accompanied by
Joe Whiteley.
And we got quite the battle on our hands.
Yeah, there's some really tight numbers right through the nominations. The top three nominations are really close. And then as you look down, there's 6 or 7, 8 lifters within about 10 kilos of each other.
Heading in, we do have Sweden's own Alexander Eriksson right in the mix. Junior star, world champion in the juniors. Heavy contender here, but we also have Yakov from Kazakhstan, who previously, with my research, I'd seen him with a 725 kilo total. With his openers alone, and those can be adjusted along the way, he's heading towards a 700.
He's opening his squat as well within reach of the squat world record, so we're going to see some crazy numbers move today.
As well as, of course, Rambo the Frenchman with a monster deadlift. It's going to be a tight battle, probably come down to the very last lift, but along the way, every kilo is going to count.
And, of course, the deadlifter always has the power.
It's a nice card to have, a nice ace up the sleeve, if you will. And we're starting in the squat event.
So we have Muhammed Ali Berber from Turkey. He's going to lead us out with 185 kilos on the bar. We are just ticking down the clock now, and the bar is loaded for Muhammad.
Put your hands together. We are beginning the competition. First weight on the bar is 185 kilos to Muhammed Ali Berber of Turkey.
Scary moment, this, walking out for your very first squat at your very first international. You remember your first international squat, Ryan?
I don't know if I do, actually.
I remember mine. I failed it on depth.
Oh, wow. Well,
Yeah.
then you'll never forget it.
Not the case for Muhammad. That depth looked great to me.
Good leg. 3 white lights to Berber. 192.5 kilos on the bar now.
Javier Quirante next from Spain. He is asking for 192.5 to go on the bar. His PB's 205, so he's got a fair bit of clearance here.
Bar is loaded. 192.5 kilos. Jesus Quirante of Spain.
Notice Team Spain has been really well represented at these IPF World Championships.
They did great with the juniors, yeah.
Yeah, their future looks bright for the Spanish team.
Nice squat, quite a wide stance, so he had to sit back quite far with it. But depth was great.
200 kilos on the bar now for Shiva Karut, Lebanon.
Kept his knees out. The problem with a wide stance is often the knees cave in, and it's then hard to, you tip over, and that's hard to come up. Shiva Karut next from Lebanon.
Shiva Karut, Lebanon.
Not a huge team here this week, but we've had a few lifters out from Lebanon. Shiva competed in Helsingborg, so this is not his first rodeo. 200 kilos on the bar.
Nice, smooth open.
Good lift,
Yeah.
just in. Not quite as deep as the others have been, which isn't a problem. You don't get extra points for being super deep.
This is true.
We have the legend that is Anna Rosa Castellane doing referee duty with us today.
She's got a battle herself coming later this
She
week.
has. And Jeff Button in centre seats. He's been coaching all week. This is powerlifting. Everyone pulls double duty, right?
Yeah.
But we've got Sean McGrory now for 200 kilos. Irish team as well. They've done fantastic. Came into this competition never having had a world champion. I think we're up to 4 now. I'm not sure.
It's going to be about borderline.
But it is
there
in.
it is. Yeah.
Yeah. That looked to me like the very definition of just getting it in. Watch that back on the replay. Yeah, from that angle you can see that it does sink in. Jan Simo of Austria. He's asked for 210 to be loaded to the bar. Squatted 230 at Austrian Nationals in July. Careful descent, just a little bit shaky on the way up.
And so far, everybody is on the board.
Ooh, is that the commentator's curse you
Nope.
just put on the next lifter there?
Nope, no such thing.
We
No
have Luke Rogers coming out now for 210. Luke's competed internationally before, but this is his first Worlds.
It is a pretty big flight. Lots of lifters. Pretty big turnaround in between the first and the second squat attempts.
And that's great for the lifters for recovery. But we are running one group, so that means they will only have 20 minutes between disciplines. And that's just a bit short of depth for Luke. If you watch that back on the replay, the hip crease has to sink below the top of the knee. And he just about gets to parallel on that one. Have to break through parallel. Joshua Wright next, Germany. Up to 230. Seems a little bit uneven on his back. Might be the angle I'm looking at. Depth for sure.
Yeah, definitely hit depth there. A smooth down up. Uneven on his back, but I think his bar path is on point.
Yep.
Might just be the way he likes it.
I think maybe it was just the way he walked it out. It just seemed to swing round a little bit, but that gave him no trouble at all. Chris Wong next, 230.
And when I said so far everybody hit their openers, and you said the commentator's curse.
And Luke Rogers came out and failed on depth. Here's Chris. Scottish lifter, working in Dubai at the moment. Training at Desert Barbell.
I remember him at previous world championships.
Yeah, he was in Sweden. I think he was in Calgary.
Yep. He's been to a couple.
Again, I'm not sure of the depth there. Yeah, British lifters are going to have to sink it a bit further.
Yeah,
That was higher than Luke's, I think.
the weight did move well, so that's not an issue.
Yeah, I think he's been a little bit rusty as well. I don't think I don't think Chris has competed since before lockdown. He's been out in Dubai working, and he's just a little bit rusty on the required depth. Jakub Unal from Turkey, 240 kilos. Not competed at this level before. Decent attempt at his opener there.
3 white lights and a good lid for Jakub. At 240, 240 remains on the bar. For Alexander
Gets to depth, comes straight up.
Yep.
I'll
Plenty
give him a
left.
bit of confidence.
Plenty left in the tank.
And here's the home country hero, Alexander Eriksson.
Sweden's own, one of the heavy metal favorites, beginning his day.
Helsingborg was his first international as an open lifter. Of course, that was a couple of years ago now. Strong. Not quite deep enough though. Well, he's got one red card from the centre referee, which is depth, and the side referee has given him a yellow. Well, just watching the replay back, can't see what that yellow was for. I did think it was a bit conservative on depth. So he'll have to take that again. Well, he might go up. Risky move, though.
Yeah, if he doesn't go up, he'll lose a bit of ground.
He will. He needs to stay in touch. Angelino Riccardo. Riccardo Angelini. For 240 kilos. Squatted 262 at Italian Nationals last year. Took him a moment to get the start command. He just wasn't quite upright.
The weight moved well, 3 white lights.
Yeah, not super easy, but not in any doubt.
240 remains on the bar for Dawid Kawka, Poland.
Dawid Kawka from Poland. Same weight, 240.
Bar loaded, 240 kilos for Dawid Kawka, Poland.
Fast, yeah.
It was a
that looked
convincing
good,
opener,
yeah.
yep. That's how you want your openers to look.
Not familiar with David. I don't think we've seen him internationally before, but he's put in a really good account of himself on his opener there. Now then, Paul Rambovy from France. Favourite, would you say, in this category?
He's definitely one of them.
Yeah.
He's got a monster deadlift and certainly will have the last say in this battle.
This is his first year in the open category. That was a good opener.
That was a convincing opener.
Yeah.
I remember Penna coming on the King of Lifts podcast, and I'm asking him, who is the next, lifters on the come up that we should be paying attention to? He mentioned Paul and said, believe me, next year will be his coming out year. And that was in 2020, and here we are.
Right. Well, I can believe it. Watching that opening squat, that looked really strong. One more opening squat to go. Yakov Ionin, Kazakhstan. 250 kilos on the bar. Depth was good, but it wasn't super easy.
It was definitely work. I'm not sure if he just got pulled a little out of position, so
Maybe so, yeah.
and he can't maybe correct that for the second, but it was definitely a little harder than you would expect for an opener.
So we have Rembovi from Kavka from Unal in the rankings so far. I'm sorry, Ionin obviously did the biggest squat. Ionin Rembovil Kavka. And we go into the second round with Berber from Turkey. 195. He's gone up 10 kilos. Two Turkish lifters in this flight. Of course, if you have two from one nation in one weight class, you have to drop out of another weight class. Nice. Kept his position really well. Straight to the top.
Gained 10 kilo.
Next weight on the bar is 202.5 kilos for Jesus Tirante.
Javier Quirante from Spain. Jesus Javier Quirante Perez. The Spanish have a lot of names. They tend to be known by a couple of them, and this is Javier. Also gone up 10 kilos. This is 202.5. Really wide stance. And that's a lot of effort.
That's a good lift at 202.5 for Jesus.
3 white lights is good, but yeah, definitely it took some effort. Not a lot of room to grow for the third attempt.
I would say 5 kilos max on that for his third.
Second attempt to this weight. Nice and
Looked better on the replay than it did live. And now Luke Rogers did not manage this, was a little bit high.
10 kilos. Luke Rogers, Great Britain. Come on, Luke. Easy weight.
Taking the same weight again, which I think is the right move. It was better. Was it good enough? It was. He's on the board. That's 210 for Luke Rogers.
Next weight on the bar.
Takes it very slow, very careful. Gets depth.
Bars loaded.
Shiva Karut, 212.5. Lists his PB as 200. So this will knock it quite a long way up the road.
12.5 kilo into uncharted territory for Shiva.
Yeah, didn't let the weight get away from him. Kept it nice and tight. Rewarded with 3 white lights. He was opening his hand before he began his squat, and we saw red lights for that yesterday. It's not something we often see squats failed for, but we did see Joy Namani get a red light for opening her hand on the bar. The fingers must be wrapped around the bar. Have you seen that failure before?
It's the first I can recollect
Yeah.
when Joy Namani got it, as well as elbows on the legs.
Yeah,
Not
that's also
often.
that's unusual. Yeah, I've seen it before, but you know, not very often. But this is Sean McGrory, 215. Taking a 15 kilo increase. Slow and careful, keeps his position really well. And that's a good lift.
215. 220, next weight on the bar, Jan Simo, Austria.
Jan Simo next.
Bar loaded, 220 kilos.
Austria.
Jan Simo, Austria.
Gone up 10 kilos. Squatting in kind of barefoot shoe. It's not a deadlift slipper, is it? But some lifters like to grip the floor when they squat.
I was going to say, yeah, it almost looks like a deadlift slipper, but you're right. It will help if you want to grip the floor.
I don't have the ankle mobility for that. I need my heels.
It is a trade-off.
But he's got no issue at all with depth there. Has to work for it.
At 220 kilos. Next weight on the bar, 230 kilos. For Chris Wong, Great Britain.
Quite long-limbed. And he pushes his knees forward as he sinks into depth. And we have Chris Wong now coming out. He's repeating 230. Did not make depth. He was a decent bit above parallel. So I think this is just calibration. He's going to have gone out back, realised what he needs to do. He's a good squatter. I'm sure he can do this.
8 years in the game.
Yeah.
He's a grizzled veteran. He's been to the World Championships a couple times. He'll be able to adjust.
Better. And stronger, looked like. Yeah, great squat for Chris.
Finding a new gear, Chris Wong of Great Britain.
But of course, his game plan is now out of the window. Whatever his intentions were for his 3 squats, he's had to react to that first failure. But it does get him up to 6th.
237.5 kilos to right of Germany.
Joshua Wright, 237.5. These are already some big weights, 74 kilo lifters. Of course, the squat world record for this is Taylor Atwood at 283 kilos. That's a huge weight. I thought he'd lost his position at the bottom there. He seemed to just, his hips just seemed to move forward as he sank in, but he came up with it absolutely great. Yeah, see, he just seemed to go over, didn't he?
A little bit of a hip shift. I'm not sure if he lost a little bit of bracing, but able to recover and complete the lift.
Didn't stop him. Now then, Alexander Eriksson. He has gone up. He's gone up to only 5 kilos. This is 245. Because you spoke about this, didn't you? If he doesn't go up, he loses touch.
He's definitely one of the favorites to finish on the podium and possibly win it all.
It's definitely better.
Much better.
And he's so strong. He is on the board with 245. That's great. Everyone's on the board now. We are not leaving any lifters behind. Jakob Unal looking for 250 kilos.
This will equal his previous personal best. 10-kilo jump. Oh,
Bit of an error. Now the bar stalled. Did it dip?
we'll have to see. Okay. Yeah,
It
I mean,
did not.
there was a bit of a stall, definitely a hiccup along the way, but
That was almost a double paused squat because he goes all the way to the bottom, takes a moment down there to think about it, and then
yep.
stops again.
Replay,
Nevertheless, good lift.
replay confirms there was a pause, but never a down up.
Bars loaded, 250 kilos, Riccardo Angelini.
Riccardo Angelini. Italy are having a great championships too. We saw a phenomenal battle between two young Italian lifters in the juniors a couple of days ago, trading world records with just about every lift. 250 kilos. Took a while there to get the squat command because he was still moving around. And that's super tough.
It's definitely right on that line. It was work. There it is. Yeah. I'm not surprised by the 2-1. It was definitely on the line, so it depends on your vantage point. If you see on the slow-mo replay here, bang. It's economical.
Yep.
And it was definitely work.
David Kafka, 252.5. 12.5 kilo increase. His opener did look good. So he's looking to push ahead now. Most of the lifters going for a 10 kilo, 7.5 or 10 kilos. So he's saying my opener felt great. I'm going to push that on 12.5. And this matches his current PB. Oh, but it was not a good move. That was just too heavy. I don't think he made a technical error. That just looked too heavy.
See on the slow-mo replay here. He hits depth and the brakes come on. Yeah, he never really gets pulled out of pocket until the very end. Just a little too heavy for the...
So, bit of an ambitious jump then from his opener. When you see lifters at the level of Ionin, he's putting 7.5 kilos on it. Maybe 12.5 kilos is just too much.
So, with Yakov here, I was saying previously that his previous bests are, had him around a 725 total. He is very close to his top end, I thought, with all of his openers. I don't know if he's just way too ambitious with some of these weights he's picking.
Well, that was a bit of a shaky walkout, wasn't it? And...
Oh, wow.
he stood up with it.
I tell
mean,
you
he
what.
had to put some work in, but...
On paper, these weights are extremely on the top end. He's already, just with those first two squats and his openers, getting really close to his previous personal best total.
He is, and I don't know how much more is there, but that was super strong. Speaking of super strong, here's Paul Remboville from France. He has taken a bigger jump. He stepped ahead of the lifter from Kazakhstan now with a 260. Looks really focused. You were saying this was Panna's lifter to watch this year.
He had faith in him. He tagged him as a lifter to watch in 2021, and he's putting on a show now.
And you can see why. That's a phenomenal squat. Superb. He's right up against his PB of 262. Looks like he's got plenty more there. Into round 3 of the squats now, and those are the standings. Rembovi has moved ahead of Ionin, who's ahead of Unal. Eriksson who was one of the top 3 favourites, dropped back down to 5th so far, having missed his opening squat. I wonder if he'll take a big jump to recover that gap. Javier Quirante from Spain. 207.5 for his final squat. He's gone up 5. Coach is calling tight, tight, tight from the wings. His knees came in a little bit there. A bit too heavy. Just gets a bit of cave and does not come up. Mohamed Ali Beber next from Turkey. Only 3 years competing. Only just into the open. This is quite a big jump for his third. He went 185 for his opener, took it to 195, and he's gone up to 207.5. That's an unusual progression, would you say?
Yeah, it still is underneath his previous personal best, though, so maybe he feels comfortable with it, but a bit of a going all in for your last, because if you don't get your third and final squat, you're moving forward with a lot of kilos on the table.
It may be if his opener didn't go super well. He dialed back his second attempt, but that felt good, so he's gone up for his third. And that's such a shame. Got to the top with it, and I was about to say it's paid off, and he stumbled backwards. Fights it up. I think the weight was an absolutely spot on for his third attempt, and there he goes. Such a shame.
Putting in all that work only to literally stumble and figuratively at the end.
Luke Rogers missed his opener. Got it on his second, but it looked difficult. So he's only gone up 5. 215 on the bar.
His personal best is listed at 247.5. We are well below that.
We are.
I'm not sure if he possibly, tough weight cut, travel, what he might be dealing with.
Slow and steady. He's driving through it. He looks happy at the top. And that's a good lift. Yeah, I think his personal best was from before lockdown. He competed in July and got 227.5. So I think it's possible that maybe, some lifters didn't have training facilities during lockdown and are having to come back from behind. Karut from Lebanon. Looking for 220. Needs to be careful with unwrapping his fingers from the bar. He's nodding. He's nodding.
He seems to be confident coming through, fighting through a sticking point.
And that's a good lift. I didn't think he had taken that far enough down, but he absolutely did. As we watch that back on the replay. Yeah, just sinks into it. And that is so much effort, but he keeps his position, keeps driving, and deserves every kilo of that squat. Irish lifter now, Sean McGrory. 222.5. Went up 15 from his opener. This is another 7.5. Coached by Jay Ferrand. He's the head coach of the Irish team. It's his birthday today. The weight was certainly no issue.
Yeah, looked like a nice third attempt. 3 for 3 in the squats for Sean.
Let's load the bar to 225 now for Jan Simo of Austria.
And we have Jan Simo next. Having a good day. Got his 2 opening squats.
225 kilos, Jan Simo, Austria.
Has requested 225 for his third. 4 red plates on the bar.
5 kilo jump from his second. 5 kilo below his previous personal best.
One thing it's difficult for people to understand if they've not competed internationally is the travel takes it out of you. You're in a different country, the food's different, the environment's different, and this is a really tough platform. You walk out and there's lights on you, there's cameras everywhere, and there's IPF referees. It's hard to do your best work in that environment.
Oh, it's a fight, though. Yeah, and 3 white lights.
225, 3 white lights. Next weight on the bar is up to 242.5 kilos.
I think that was RPE 10 for sure.
Yeah, they definitely got the most out of their lifter. Weren't going to get another kilo from their perfect attempt selection to get right to the limit without teetering over it.
Joshua Wright next from Germany, 242.5. This is a 5 kilo PB for him. Takes his time to settle.
Hit step, no doubt there. And I tell you what, he hit the same sticking point, but the bar speed is consistent from his opener to his third. Very smooth third attempt.
I think we're seeing some really good attempt selection from the coaches today. Chris Wong. He's gone up a long way, struggled with his opener. Got 230 on his second attempt. He's gone up 20 kilos.
I'm guessing this is where he always wanted to end up.
Yeah, I think so.
And this is where, when you miss your opener, you make that decision. Retake the opening weight, and on your third, do we go up to the planned third all along, or do we stop off somewhere in the middle?
I think this is a risky move, I have to be honest. But if he gets it, it'll put him in bronze medal position for the moment. But there's quite a few squats yet to go. He's a strong squatter.
The risk pays off.
2 to 1, a good lift. I wasn't sure of depth there, but he got it 2 to 1. So that puts Chris Wong in bronze medal position for the moment. And we have David Kavka looking to push him down with 252.5. Looking to take that bronze medal position away. Matches his PB.
5 seconds.
Missed this last time. Oh, it seemed to be strength, didn't it? It seemed to be, didn't seem to make a technical error.
Yeah, we'll see if he can make any adjustments. Sometimes you see some lifters go to the back. Nope.
No, just too heavy.
Well caught loaders, just a little too heavy by the look
Yeah, I
of
know
it.
exactly what you mean. Sometimes you come out from under the bar and you say to your coach, I just got that wrong. Let me go through it again.
Especially in your second attempt.
Yeah.
You rise the intensity more and more, and then when you get to the thirds, some people transform into their version of Bobby Butters. But sometimes you got to take your second attempts more seriously than you do.
Sure. And sometimes you're right. Sometimes people are thinking about the third one and not thinking about the one they're doing.
I know I've taken my second and opener for granted, and then gravity will humble you.
Yes. Jakob Unal on the platform now from Turkey for 255. Good depth, strong drive.
3 white lights and a good lift for Jakob Unal at 255. Same weight remains on the bar for Alexander Eriksson of Sweden.
So that's moved him up to bronze medal position so far. We've got 4 more squats left to go. The next 2 are also for 255. So this will go on body weight. And I think Eriksson is the lightest of the 3. So here's Alexander Eriksson looking to pull back to the top of the table.
Alexander, leading into this, wasn't showing all of his cards in training, but I believe this is around about where he wanted to end up, maybe a stitch lower because he missed his opener, still went up 5 kilo. He probably wanted to go up more than that for a second.
Yeah, I think so.
But from his opener to here, we're 15 kilos spread. I don't think we're greatly off. But every kilo is going to count if he's going to win this title.
I think he's got the depth, and I think he's stood up with it.
Good fight. I tell you what. See what the judges say. Nope.
Yellows.
And he doesn't have a single white, so he can't protest it. Let's see
No,
what this
what
is.
happened there? Watch it back. It's his elbows, look. Elbows, he pushed up with his elbows on his legs. Wow.
So this is not to script. Certainly not in the plan for Alexander.
That's a shocker.
One of the favorites, definitely to get on the podium and possibly to win it all. Had a very shaky squat session.
So this is 255 as well for Riccardo Angelini. This moves up to 4th. He won't knock Unal off the squat podium. Turkish lifter is guaranteed that bronze medal now, which is a great result for him because Angelini is slightly heavier by only 60 grams. And he's sticking with it.
Talk about core strength.
Wow.
Never gets pushed or bullied around by the weight. Bar slows to a crawl at the midpoint. And he stays upright and battles through it. Take a look at this squat. Hits depth and look at that.
Pushes his knees out. Keeps driving. Great squat. Yakovlevin from Kazakhstan for 260.
I think the conservative 2.5 kilo jump was a good idea. He put in a lot of work with his opener.
Yeah.
His second attempt moved pretty well, considering how his opener looked. Maybe he's used to all of his attempts being close to the limit. He's comfortable with it.
But you have to think he tired himself out with the grind on his second there.
Well, here's the thing. Looking at his lifts, his openers were all very close to his limit.
Yeah.
And it's a long day. You got to conserve your energy.
And he got everything he was capable of on the day. He got 257, missed 260. One more squat to go. This is a very impressive French lifter. Remboville for 262.5.
Also a 2.5 kilo jump.
His second looks strong though.
I was just going to say, I was more convinced than Yakov's that he had more in the tank, but
he's a deadlifter, isn't he? He's going to want to make sure he's got that deadlift to pull whatever he needs at the end.
Big squat. He'll lose a little ground in the bench, and he'll gain it back in the dead.
Great depth. He's just ground to a halt. Still, that gives him the gold medal in squat. and Ian takes the silver, and Yunal, shock result, takes the bronze medal with Eriksson all the way down in 6th place.
This was definitely an unpredictable squat session by our 74 kilo open class. You see the scoreboard right there. We had a bit of a shakeup, so Yakov opening pretty high. If he could keep pace, he's going to have a very big total. Of course, Rambo from France has that killer deadlift to look forward to. And Sweden's own Alexander Eriksson had a bit of a shaky squat session. Hopefully he could pull it together for the bench press and the deadlifts. The former junior star coming into the Open this year was definitely a favorite, certainly at a podium, possibly to win it all. All is not lost. Anything can happen, and this squat session proved that. We are going to take a short 20-minute break. Do not go anywhere. We will be back with the bench press session. Six-pack lap it at
Joe Whiteley.
See you in 20. And welcome back to the IPF World Championships here live in Homestead, Sweden, where we had quite the squat session. Some of the favorites in the hometown nation's own, Sweden, the Alexander Eriksson, who junior star, won the world title, moved into the open, and had a bit of a shaky squat session, only registering one squat. What did you think about that, Joe?
It was really surprising. We said only earlier this session that we rarely see a failure for elbows resting on the knees, which Joe Nemani got failed for yesterday. And then we saw it with Eriksson.
So I had a brief conversation with one of Eriksson's clients, actually, and training partners. And apparently Eriksson changed up his squat stance over the COVID lockdown and moved his feet wider, making his legs wider.
Okay.
And, you know, something that you pay attention to while in training is certainly depth, but overlooked to an extent. How often do you take video and say, where are my elbows at?
Yeah, exactly.
Where are they touching?
And
would you pass?
With Joy Nemani, she's so long in the limb, it's hard to understand where all those long arms and long legs can go. But with Alexander, it's a real surprise to see that failure for him.
So he, I mean, it's an adjustment that he made over the COVID lockdown. It had been a while since he had hit the platform.
Yep.
So the new adjustments, having some growing pains for him, but we'll see if he can gather himself for the bench press. We still have a lot more lifting to go.
I mean, I think he can really correct that quite easily as he goes into his next competition. If you're not looking for it, then you're not trying to just flip those elbows backwards.
Yep, and then obviously you turn the elbows backwards, it could tilt you forward. So
Sure.
It's a dicey proposition.
So we have Mohammed Ali Berber coming out for 105 kilos, representing Turkey, one of two Turkish lifters in this group. His teammate took a surprise squat bronze.
Yeah, one door opens and one door closes and one door opens in powerlifting. Somebody fumbles the ball and someone else is going to pick it up, carry it into the end zone.
Nice, easy opener.
3 white lights and a good lift at 105 for Mohammed Berber, Turkey. 120 next weight on the bar. Jan Simo, Austria.
Tucks in, plants his lats nicely, flares his elbows on the press. That was a good bench.
Bar is loaded, 120 kilos, Jan Simo of Austria.
And here comes Jan Simo. He's asked for 120 kilos to open his account.
He's hit 130. This should move smoothly for him.
Big arch. Strong press.
That's a good lift for Jan at 120 kilos.
And he's on the board. This might be a good time to go over some of the commands and infractions of the bench press. Unlike the other events, there's 3 commands. You have your start command, and you'll get that when your elbows are fully locked. But before you get that, you can adjust. Your butt can be off the bench. You can have your setup. Once you get the start command, you lower it to your chest. And when it's motionless on your chest, you get the press command. And if that takes 1 second or 5 seconds, that's how long it'll be on your chest for.
Luke Rogers for 122.5. He benched 127.5. Clipped the rack there. But that's a good lift. The clipping the rack in itself isn't a failure. It's only if you use the rack to push the bar up.
And then you have, that leads me to, perfect segue, the final command, which is the rack command. After you pressed it and your elbows are locked once again. But along the way, once you get that start command, your butt can no longer rise off the bench, can't pick your feet up and adjust. You are locked and loaded.
Some lateral movement of the foot is allowed, but you cannot lift it.
Mm-hmm.
So here's Chris Wong. Struggled with depth on his opening squat, but he was so strong. Took a big 20-kilo jump to his third and looked great under the bar. So this is 130. Yeah, very easy.
3 white lights and a good lift for Chris Wong at 130. Next weight on the bar is 132.5. Shiva Karut.
Keeps his chest up nicely. A cue that really worked for me was the idea that you bring your chest up to the bar rather than bringing the bar down to your chest. Helps you really keep up.
The bar is loaded at 132.5 kilos for Shiva, Lebanon.
And here we have Shiva Karut from Lebanon for 132.5.
Two and a half kilo below his previous personal best. We'll see how he handles this.
No wrist wraps, self hand out. And he handles it very well indeed.
Well, training must have gone well.
White lights and a good lift for Shiva at 132.5. Next weight on the bar remains at 132.5.
Yeah, you see that leg drive kick in and the bar launches off the chest.
And that really helps the bench press. It's a little bit counterintuitive that you can push with your legs and the bar goes up, but you have to be sure you're keeping your butt down on the bench. Sean McGrory, 132.5. Not super easy.
It was work. 3 white lights. Yeah, he has been credited with 140 in competition. Maybe as the weight increases, he'll find another gear.
Maybe he lost his line a little bit because the bar path seemed a little shaky.
And that is something with the bench press. A misgroove can make opening weight a lot harder.
Jakub Unal from Turkey took a shock bronze medal in squat. Only a shock because we expected it to go to the Swedish lifter, really.
Nicely done.
3 white lights and a good lift for Jakub at 145. Next weight on the bar. 147.5 kilos, Paul Ramboville of France.
Here's Paul. Bench isn't his best lift, so he just needs to squeeze as many kilos as he can out of this lift.
Yeah, he's a really good squatter. Has definitely the biggest deadlift, certainly amongst the contenders vying for the throne. So he's going to lose a little bit of ground in the bench. He's not too worried about that. He sees that coming. His goal, just go 3 for 3, collect whatever kilo you can, build the base of which you could deadlift. Every kilo he gains in the bench lowers the final deadlift he needs to pull for the win.
Okay, not super easy, not in any doubt.
3 white lights and a good lift for Paul, 147.5.
I'm not really familiar with his bench. I've seen him deadlift, obviously, but I wouldn't say he had a huge amount to come on that. Javier Quirante next from Spain, 150.
A good 15 kilo below his personal best, expecting this to move easily. You know, it's interesting in the jumps these lifters like to take and the proximity towards their personal best that they're opening with. Some lifters like a good, smooth, easy opener and conserve their energy. Some fly close to the sun, if you will, and really toe that line. But that was easy.
It was strong.
Whites and a good lift for Jesus
Got
Gigante.
really wide foot spacing there. I don't know if you could call it a stance when you're lying on a bench, but
It's almost the sumo
Yeah.
style of benching, and he'll probably take 5 kilo and then 5 kilo and be right around his previous personal best.
Powerlift, 160 kilos,
Riccardo Angelini from Italy, looking for 160.
Ricardo really is going to make most of his total from the subtotal. He's got a fair deadlift, but we got some big deadlifters in this field.
30 seconds.
He's accustomed to IPF Worlds. I remember him last time we were in Sweden. I know he medaled, and I know you got open powerlifting up right now, so you could
Yeah.
help me out here. I think he might have even won in the juniors.
He was third at Helsingborg,
Three white lights and a good lift for Riccardo
and that's a
Angelini.
good lift for him at 160.
160 kilos.
He benched 157.5 at Helsingborg.
David of Poland.
Yeah, open powerlifting, open IPF is a great resource to look up the results of these lifters. It's an entirely volunteer-led open source project to record all the results of IPF competitions. David Kawka from Poland, also coming out for 160. He took quite a big jump on his squat, and it didn't pay off for him. Only got his opener in.
Looking to get back on track, and it looks like he did. That moved pretty smoothly.
Three whites and a good lift for David at 160, 167.5 now. Next weight on the bar for Alexander Eriksson of Sweden.
So here comes Alexander Eriksson. Got a big bench. He's going to look to pull some of that deficit back now.
Bars loaded.
Needs to get back in touch with the French lifter.
Alexander Eriksson, Sweden.
We just have the racks not quite set correctly.
Eriksson is a 10-year veteran of the game, been to multiple world championships. He's had shaky sessions before, I'm sure. You got to put it behind you, focus on the event you're in, collect your kilos. You never know what's going to happen with your opposition.
That's a good point. You need to stay calm. You can't let any issues in squat shake you for the rest of the competition. You've got to come back strong, reset, do your best work on the next lift. And he's done his best work there. That was a great bench.
Absolutely no question on his bench opener.
167.5,
You see his legs hugging that bench so his butt doesn't come up.
Yep.
Keeps himself based and grounded for that press.
Yakov Ionin. He is team subtotal. Coming out for 170.
Yakov Ionin of Kazakhstan.
Now, Yakov opened pretty heavy for his squat. His second attempt looked like a third, and his third attempt he missed. We'll see if the trend continues in the bench. With his openers alone, he was trending towards 700 kilo total, and previously 727.5 was his best total he's ever registered. Not a lot of room in between, but that moved pretty well.
Very comfortable. Very nice indeed. He's got a huge arch there. Feet are a long way back. And we still have one to come. We have the German lifter out next, Joshua Wright, for 175 kilos. He lists his PB as 167.5, and he's already 7.5 kilos over it. I've got my fingers crossed for him. That always seems like a really risky move. But obviously, he knows how well training's gone. He's got Dietmar Wolf sending him out.
And I tell you what about Joshua. Coming into this, and previously he had not registered any lifts that were in this ballpark, but looking at his projected, he might be surprising some people here. His projected lands him at number 2. We have a lot of lifting left to go, but you never know how this could all unfold.
Oh, but he has had a nightmare.
Uh-oh.
That bar certainly looked to me to dip. And 2 of the referees agree. That was downward movement of the bar.
Perhaps a little too ambitious with that opening.
He
Yes.
just got out of line.
You know, we'll see. Obviously, a misgroove can be, you know, catastrophic with the bench press. However, usually you choose opening weight that, you know, misgroove or whatever, you can battle through. Third attempt, you don't want the misgroove, but we'll see. We have seen people come back and hit it in their second, and you wonder, well,
Sure.
what happened for the first?
So we have Bear from Turkey now for 110. Taking a 5 kilo increase. A little bit hesitant on the chest.
Good lift, 3 white lights, the Bear of Turkey at 110.
You see the bar come down, it just skips around a little bit on the chest, but he kicks it up, gets his leg drive in, and that's a good lift. Jan Simo,
125 kilos, Jan Simo.
relatively new lifter, 4 years in the game. I mean, it's not a sprint, it's a marathon powerlifting. You have to build the muscle, you have to learn your technique. 4 years is not long at all to be competing at the World Championship.
5 kilo jump, 5 kilo below his previous personal best.
This is 2 red plates, 125.
Oh, wow.
That's hard.
Oh, no.
He cannot get that moving.
This wouldn't quite go the last inch, I'm afraid.
Well.
No lift for Jan at 125.
Seeing the slow-mo replay here. Controlled in the descent. The leg drive kicks in, and his arms are wobbly and shaky, and it almost looks like it's a strength issue. You never know in terms of how much these gentlemen are cutting to make weight.
That's a very good point.
Sometimes you gain a little size, and it gets harder and harder to stay in the class.
Luke pressed this at the, he did a local competition last month. He got 127.5 at that competition. And he might just get it today. Good lift, but not much to come on that bench, I don't think.
Luke's previous personal best listed on his profile is 142.5. And we're well below that, though.
Yeah, I think I think all these personal bests are listed from before lockdown. And I think maybe he hasn't had access to training during lockdown because he's come back and
Gotcha.
he's a little bit down.
Unfortunate timing.
Here's Shiva Karut for 140. I think lockdown hit a lot of lifters. I mean, some people were lucky enough to have training equipment at home or training equipment they could borrow, but some people had nothing at all and no access. And it's difficult to keep powerlifting strength going if you don't have a barbell and a squat rack and a bench.
Bar slows around the midpoint, but he's trying to fight through it. Nope.
Pec dominant, came off the chest very well, but could not drive that home.
Same weight remains on the bar for Sean McGrory of Ireland. Bar loaded, 140 kilos, Sean McGrory.
Same weight now for Sean McGrory, 140.
4 lifters up in the second round. 2 successes, 2 failures. Batting 500. It's a bit of an untidy second round of benching so far. Let's see if Sean can turn this around.
Yeah, that looked nice.
Fairly smooth.
I could hear his coach shouting, heels, 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 heels. Make sure you keep those feet flat on the floor. And he did. But he's lifting in deadlift slippers, and if he has issues keeping his heels down, surely squat shoes would help him.
Yeah, maybe he meant heels as push down leg drive. I'm not sure what the
Maybe,
cue is.
maybe so, maybe so. Here's Chris, he's gone up 10 kilos.
And that's a sizable jump in the bench press, but he has hit 142.5 previously. We'll see how this moves.
Sent out today by Jake Downs. Donut barbell. And Chris took a 20 kilo jump on his squat, and that did not slow him down at all.
Bar speed was nice.
Yeah, slow and steady.
3 white lights.
Wouldn't be surprised if he went up another 5. Jakub Unal next. Only 1 year lifting. This is pretty amazing, isn't it, to be at the World Championships? And he took a squat bronze.
I was just about to say, considering he's leaving with a bronze in his first year, not bad.
This is 152.5.
I can only assume he was lifting just not competitively until a year ago.
Yeah. We do see lifters coming in from other sports. We see sprinters and throwers. And of course, weightlifters.
Yeah, looks nicely done. 3 white lights, judges agree.
Same weight remains on the bar. Paul Ramboville, France.
Here's Rambo Power on Instagram. Conservative 5 kilo jump. Now, it's not his best lift, so this is probably a good move.
Yeah, bench really isn't one of the events. He's going to cover too much ground. Wants to stay in the pocket, if you will. No sense emptying the tank for 2.5 kilo, tightening up the lower back when the deadlift is really when he's going to make the most damage.
Oh, right
no.
arm will not go.
Bench press is not his best lift, but 147.5 is below his previous best. We expected more than that. I'm sure he did as well.
On the bar, Jesus Tirante, Spain.
Javier Quirante from Spain. 157.5.
157.5 kilos, Jesus Tirante,
His
Spain.
150 looked very easy indeed. And he's fighting that. Can he lock the right arm?
Well, 2 out of 3 is all he needs. He got a little opened up at the bottom, the elbows there. Can't really see it there. He's pretty spread out at the bottom, but he...
That right arm really struggled to lock. The centre referee didn't like the lockout, but the other two were happy, so that was a good lift. David Kavka next for 167.5. PB's 170. That's a great arch. Reduces the range of motion.
It's work for the lockout, but he gets there.
Yeah, I think that's on the edge, though. I think that's right on the limit.
Yeah, the smallest incremental jump he could take is 2.5 kilo, and I would strongly advise that's what he does.
Angelini of Italy.
Riccardo Angelini, 170. He's gone up a full 10 kilos.
That's a big jump, especially for the bench press.
This is a PB. He's done 167.5 before.
He's going to cover a lot of ground if he hits this.
Used up quite a lot of his platform time. He's only got 12 seconds on the clock now.
Well, handles 10 kilo pretty well.
Good lift, 2 to 1. Not sure what the infraction was. I'm not sure we'll see it either because it came from the opposite side to the side we're watching back now. Seemed to keep his butt and his feet down, so I'm not sure what else that would be. Here we have the home nation hero, Alexander Eriksson, 175.
This is 7.5 kilo he's going to need. There's now a few lifters within striking distance of this podium.
I'm looking down the list of subtotals and I'm seeing 3 lifters on 407, Alexander's on 412.5. So he's going to need this to stay ahead, and that looked great.
Now he's got a little bit more momentum. He lost some in the squats, going 1 for 3, but the bench press doing much better.
Might have been butt lift that one referee saw from the side there. Joshua Wright now. He did not get this on his opener. Taking it again. You know, you come out with a huge lift that's way above your PB and that's going to take you to the top of the table on bench press. I think that was just a little bit ambitious.
If Joshua Wright hits this, he immediately jumps to, in the projected, number 2 in a pretty packed field. Very important second attempt bench press.
Relatively narrow grip, and he's got it this time.
Long way down, long way up, but it looks like he did it. 3 white lights, and he breathes a sigh of relief. And just like that, Joshua Wright
is in the running for the overall.
Right in the running. It's a little early, but we'll see what happens. And there's a bit of a podium shakeup, isn't there?
There really is. We did not see him coming.
175 kilos, Yakov Ionin.
And he's projected to be on the podium ahead of Unal, who also was not one of the favourites going in.
Yeah, and he's got a deadlift as well.
So here we have Yakov Ionin from Kazakhstan for 175 kilos.
170, moved well. Quite a bit heavier with 5 extra kilo.
Yeah.
Quite a bit slower.
Quite a careful descent. Held it on his chest, drove it home, but I don't think there's much more there, if anything.
No, I mean, the opener was fast. 5 kilos slowed him greatly. I think 2.5 kilo should just about do it.
So we can see the subtotals now, and Ionin's leading from Angelini, from Eriksson, from Wright. But we know we can see Paul Ramboville is way down in 6th place here, but we know he's got the big deadlift.
Correct, and Angelini is more of a subtotal lifter. He'll lose a bit of ground in the deadlift. We'll see some shakeups left.
Mohammed Ali Berber from Turkey out next for 112.5. He's gone up 2.5 kilos. His second wasn't super easy. And that's not there today.
Not this time, I'm afraid.
But he got everything he was capable of today. He didn't leave anything behind on the platform.
125, next weight on the bar. Jan Simo,
Just
Austria.
ground to a halt and would not go any further. So, Jan Simo, second try for 125.
Followed, 125 kilos, Jan Simo, Austria.
Missed 125 on his second, retaking it here on his third and final. And add 5 more kilo to his total.
Look decent.
Woodley, 3 white lights for Jan. 130, next weight on the bar. Luke Rogers, Great Britain.
Luke's gone up 2.5 now. This will be the most he's done
130
since
kilos,
lockdown.
Luke Rogers, Great Britain.
Oh, the brakes come on.
I think he went on the P of the press too.
Trying to time that press command. It's dicey.
140 on the bar now. Shiva Karut,
Didn't go. Leaves him with the best of 127.5.
Lebanon.
And we have Karut from Lebanon
Shiva Karut, Lebanon.
for 140. Missed this on his second.
Driving those traps into the bench, wedging himself under the bar. Ooh, slows in the midpoint, but he keeps going.
Yeah. He almost gave himself an extra long pause. He got the press command and just waited an extra moment. Took his time.
Good lift at 140. 145 is now
See that leg drive kick in, and his whole body shifts in the direction to get the barbell off his chest.
So you're pushing back along the body towards the barbell with the feet. You're not just trying to push your butt off. Sean McGrory, 145. And he just can't get it through the sticking point.
just a little too heavy.
Leaves him
by
with the best
looking
of
at this
140.
moment. 145 leaves him with the best of 140. 145 remains on the bar for Chris Wong, Great Britain.
Chris has looked very strong today. I think it's a real shame he missed his opening
Chris
squat.
Wong, Great Britain.
If he gets this, it'll be a 2.5 kilo personal best. And add 5 kilo onto his total.
And slow, but it's moving. It's still moving.
That left arm, can he lock out the left? Oh, he does at the last second.
Keeps us hanging and then pop.
Oh,
No,
no.
the two of the referees. Blue card can be for downward movement of the bar or lockout. I didn't see any downward movement.
Paul Rambolville,
So I think that's for lockout.
At this weight,
It is, yeah, even his right arm, that lock there was pretty shaky, but
2.5 kilos, Paul Ramboville, France.
Okay, we have Paul Ramboville from France. He missed this last time, which was a bit of a surprise. He's done more than this previously.
we'll see if he can make some adjustments. Sometimes that's all it takes with the bench press.
He set his deadlift opener as 275, so he's fourth on prognosis. But I wonder if he'll put that up. I wonder if he's just trying to fly under the radar there. Not quite.
Yeah, that's uneven.
So close.
Do you know if he has to cut for the class?
You know what? I'm not entirely sure.
On the bar, Jakob Uno,
I could definitely check out in between sessions here, in between
Sure.
events. Hopefully, it's not indication of what's to come in the deadlift.
Hope so.
Eyes loaded,
Jakob
157.5
Unal,
kilos,
157.5
Turkey.
for his final bench. He was fifth in Helsingborg last time this competition was held, so he hasn't just come out of nowhere. Has a decent CV. Was fourth in Salo in 2015. Can he make the podium this time? That was a gutsy press. And he's rewarded with 2 white lights. Good lift.
Good lift for Jakob.
3 for 3 in the bench press session for Unal.
Look how much he's shaking.
Bar is loaded. Jesus
Javier
Kirante,
Kirante next
160 kilos,
from Spain
Spain.
for 160.
Conservative 2.5 kilo jump, 5 kilo below his personal best. But at the IPF Worlds, it's not always about hitting personal best. You want to build your total. The standard of judging is the highest of standards. Ooh.
I'm not sure if the descent at the bottom was really quick. I wonder if he just lost the weight of the bar just at the final moment there.
Riccardo Angelini, Italy.
Leaves him with a best of 157.5. So he didn't leave too much behind.
Bar is loaded, 172.5
Riccardo
kilos,
Angelini,
Italy.
172.5. Can't get on the podium for bench. 3 of the lifters have already posted 175, but this is still a huge bench press and 5 kilo PB attempt.
Oh, it's a
Very
scrap.
careful descent, and he fought it valiantly, but to no avail. No lift.
Nice catch by the spotters there. You see he gets the
177.5 kilos.
leg drive kicks in. Decent until about the midpoint. Were really slowed and right at the lockout. Failed on the lift. Just shy.
First session of the morning is 74 kilo men.
Here comes Jakov Ionin, looking for every kilo he can squeeze out of subtotal.
In the squat event, he hit his opener. It was work. Moved up to his second. Started becoming a grinder. Missed his third. Seems to be possibly pacing the same on the bench press. The second attempt was definitely work. But he's taking a conservative 2.5 kilo jump. Maybe he can pick up those kilos. He could use it on his total. Wow.
And I think he's got it.
You know what? I think that might have even moved a little better than his
Yeah.
second attempt.
Good lift, good lift at 170.
He's got a big arch. It's a very technical bench.
Yeah.
So you get that line absolutely spot on, and you're rewarded with knees to your press. So he is leading the way now.
The feet back like he has them. It's difficult to get initiate the leg drive from it, but the tension on the body you can get.
Here comes Eriksson for 180. This will be a PB for him. Move him up to gold medal position on bench, and he needs these kilos to stay in touch in the overall.
Starting to fall up behind a little bit with Yakov. Certainly doesn't want to fall off the podium altogether.
Phenomenal arch.
Ooh. It looks like he's got it.
And he laughs to himself on the bench.
There was definitely a moment where it was in question,
Yeah.
but he pulls himself together, rallies right there. It looked like, uh-oh.
I love that he laughed at it as he lay there on the bench. Here we have Joshua Wright. He's coming out for 180 as well. He's
180 kilos.
lighter than Eriksson, so this will take the bench press gold. Missed his opener. Smoked it on his second.
And he is really building his total here. Looking at the projected, we might have a shocker. We'll have to see how the deadlift carries out, but he has a bigger deadlift opener than Yakov. Hate to get ahead of myself, but it could be a storyline.
It's a lot of people opening higher than Rambo as well.
Yeah, which is surprising.
Yeah.
We'll have to see how
I
they
think
move.
he's playing games with them.
Oh!
Not quite. Not quite.
To the right, that is
Leaves him with the 175 and the bronze medal on bench.
press for the 74 kilo men. We have a 20-minute break.
And that concludes the bench press event. It's been hard to predict so far in the squats. Hard to predict so far in the bench. Some people we had coming in missed some lifts. Some people we had not necessarily as podium favorites establishing themselves. Going into the deadlifts, truly anybody's game. What do you think, Joe?
Ian is out in front, and I think he is going to be a little bit hard to catch, but we do have lifters in touch there, so it's going to come down to the final deadlift, I'm sure of it.
And I'll tell you what, Francis Rambo, his favorite weapon is the deadlift. Let's see how he applies it. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in 20 minutes. See you then. And welcome back to the IPF World Championships here live in Homestead, Sweden, in Alico headquarters. Six-pack Lapidot, accompanied by Joe Whiteley for the 74-kilo open. And Joe, it is an extremely tight race, likely going to come down to the very last deadlift. And we've had a bit of changes coming into the deadlifts here.
We've had surprises all the way through the competition, and we've got some big deadlifters to come. And I can see at least 6 of these lifters have changed their deadlift opener. Ramboville has moved up. He was down for, I think, 270 or 275.
Yeah, 275, a 15-kilo increase. He has hit 308. We told you he's a monster deadlifter.
I think he was playing games, to be honest. I don't think he was ever going to come out for 275.
Yeah, you wonder. And we've had a couple other changes. It's a bit of a ploy sometimes. You can have your deadlift artificially high to apply pressure to a subtotal lifter to make them max out on squat, max out on bench, thinking they have to cover a lot of ground. And then you lower your deadlift like, you didn't have to cover as much ground as you thought. Trying to apply pressure so they overreach. And sometimes you do the opposite by having an artificially low deadlift.
And then you fly under the radar and no one sees you coming, and you go whack.
Correct. The subtotal guys will think they're on pace when really they're falling off pace. It's some gamesmanship. We'll see if it pays off. And as you had said, Joe, not just Rambo, but several of these competitors change their openers. And also a reminder, they can change their third attempt deadlifts twice over. So we're going to see the coaching staff. Whenever it's a tight battle like this, the coaching staff becomes ever more important because even though it's powerlifting, the strongest lifter doesn't always win when it's a tight battle.
And I expect the coaches, when we come to the end, will have several attempts already written down so they can just whack those in with no time to spare. Here's Sean McGrory, 227.5, 500 pounds. Here that there is still some people warming up out the back. Good lift for Sean. He's on the board. He has a total.
As soon as these lifters get their opening attempt in the books, their total is solidified. They can no longer bomb out, and they can start covering some ground.
240 for Shiva Karut from Lebanon. PB is 250. We share a hype song. He was listening to The Way I Am by Eminem in the back. That's what I picked to come out for my deadlift too.
Eminem has a fan base in Lebanon. Nicely done.
Good opener.
Green white lights, good lift for Shiva at 240. 240 remains on the bar.
Muhammad Ali Bauber from Turkey next for 240. This is a 5-kilo PB already. Now we've seen that go a little bit wrong for people during this competition. But he knows his own lifting, hopefully. And his coaches have watched him warm up, so hope this goes well.
"24 years old, powerlifting 3 years. Wow.
Yeah, that was a technically really nice sumo.
Can only assume a personal best is going to be registered now.
Really nice positioning, pull straight up to lockout. Luke Rogers lists his PB as 295, but as we've seen, a lot of his lifts are a fair bit below his PBs. We think he didn't have much access to training equipment over lockdown. This is 250 for his opener.
Hip pump, gets it off the ground.
Was a little bit of effort, though. It wasn't super easy for an opener.
And
Looked
here's-
like a second attempt to me.
Yeah, and here's the thing: when you're not at your best necessarily, sometimes it's hard to gauge where exactly are you though. You know, and you're kind of guessing. It's a bit of guesswork. Warm-ups are warm-ups. When you hit the platform, sometimes you could get surprised, but he is on the board. His total is secure.
Jan Simo from Austria for 252.5. Decent pull.
3 white lights. It was smooth. Got a lot left in the tank.
Next weight on the bar is 255 for Javier Carante.
Javier Carante from Spain, 255 kilos.
Bars loaded, 255 kilos, Javier.
Easy.
Green white lights and a good lift for Javier, 255. Next weight on the bar, 265. Riccardo Angelini, Italy.
We have the Italian lifter out next for 265, Riccardo Angelini.
I believe he changed his opener. I think he had 250 initially.
Okay.
15-kilo jump.
Yeah, that is feeling really confident in warm-up.
It's with,
Or he feels like he's in touch and he can move up.
yeah, it's within 10 kilo of his personal best. Interested? Wow. Move like an opener should.
Did.
Good lift, green white lights.
I would agree with their change up there. I think 250 would have been too light.
Remains at 265 for David Kafka, Poland.
David Kawka from Poland for 265.
265 kilos, David
National
Kafka,
record
Poland.
holder, his deadlift PB is 280.5. So this is his lift. No
Nice.
messing about with setup there, just dip, grip and rip.
Nicely done.
A good lift for David at 265. Next weight on the bar remains at 265 for Chris Wong, Great Britain.
Here's Chris Wong.
Bar loaded, 265 kilos, Chris Wong, Great Britain.
Has pulled 290.
Yeah, I'm expecting this to fly off the ground, and then you'll cover some ground with the second and third attempts. Wow.
And you were correct.
That was snappy.
Good lift for Chris. at
The hips
265.
came through, and he really popped at the top. Look at that.
Yeah.
275 kilos, Alexander Eriksson of Sweden.
Here comes Alexander Eriksson. We really favoured him going into this competition,
Got rid of that
but he did not have a great day on squats, and that left him with a little bit of ground to cover to get on the podium at all, I think.
Yeah, he righted the ship in bench press
75 kilos,
and had a fair bench session. We'll see what he could do with the deadlifts. He's a good deadlifter, a reliable deadlifter. Not the biggest one of the field, but he might not have to be.
That looked very comfortable. He's got plenty left in the tank there.
Right, good lift for Alex. We are
I could not call this.
280, next weight on the bar, Yakov Yonin.
See, we said that Yakov Ionin was team subtotal. But here he is with a 280 deadlift opener.
Eyes loaded, 280 kilos, Yakov Yoni, Kazakhstan.
If he pulls this, he's going to be hard to catch. He really is. Really wide stance. He's got his toes almost pressed against the plates.
Double overhand hook grip. Uh-oh.
No. No, I thought he had it and he just lost his balance. Tipped forward at the top.
Waiting for the lights, I think, but that was a definite tip forward.
Yeah.
It's probably not a strength issue. When you're that wide, you had said he's a very wide sumo stance, and it helps mitigate the range of motion, but also your balance, unfortunately. So pros and cons.
Jakub Unal having a great day, opening with 285.
Nicely done. And it's got to be said, so if Eriksson had a shaky squat session, if Yakov has a shaky deadlift session, do we have more of a shakeup in the rankings? Add Wright to the mix, add Rambo to the mix, and it's still way too early to call.
It really is, and we have the German lifter coming out now. Did not see him come in at all.
No.
Put in a massive bench, and he's got a huge deadlift as well. And you don't see that very often, do you? Usually, often, a big bencher isn't a big deadlifter.
Yeah, coming into the comp, his previous best total was 680, which would have been far short of, the podium, but that's not going to be his total today.
Listed PB is 282.5, and this is 285, already a PB.
Surprising people in the 74 kilo class. Let's see how this moves. Uh-oh.
It moves very easily. And
did he
beat
jump that? Nope.
No.
Okay. No. Everybody in the warm-up room who's watching that on the monitors thinking, is this going to move slowly? No, when it moves as quickly as he did right there, sky is the limit.
It's a great style as well, wasn't he? He was very upright in the pull, and it snapped straight up.
Best of both worlds.
Well, here comes Paul Ramboville from France for 290 kilos to open his deadlift.
He was listed at 275, opted to change that at the last minute to 290. Warm-ups are going well. Oh, good decision.
Wow.
And do you see the smile as he struts off the platform? That's what happens when you have a weapon like a deadlift that Rambo has. He's going to cover a lot of ground here.
He is. He's listed third overall right now. But we know that the lifter from Kazakhstan has not put his deadlift in yet. But I think he'll get it. He just lost his balance a bit at the top. I think he should be fine for that as we come into the next round.
Yeah, Yakov is retaking 280. So after the second rounds of deads are done, Yakov will be at 280, and that's his opening weight. So when he's loading up for his third and pulls, it's an all or nothing proposition. He
really
hits his
is.
third, he'll get whatever medal he's pulling for. But if he misses his third, he's going to fall way back. That's when it becomes dicey, when you start missing lifts in the deadlifts.
But I'm looking at the projected now, and I'm seeing 2 at 712.5, 1 at 715, and 2 at 717.5. This could go one of 5 ways. Wow, we've got Sean McGrory on the platform right now for 240 kilos, and that looks like a good lift. We did not expect this to be a 5-way dance at the end.
I think most people were looking at the top 3, didn't know it was going to be a top 5 battle. A 5-way battle. It's tough to keep. I mean, the coaching staffs are looking everywhere, trying to dig up the calculators. Who are we looking for? Who's coming up behind us? Are we defending bronze? Are we fighting for silver? Are we pulling for gold?
Or are we in 5th?
Yeah, or are we in 5th?
Shiva Karut next, 255. 5 kilo PB attempt.
$15-kilo jump.
Oh, it was a difficult break from the floor. Shows some real determination to get it all the way to lockout.
I tell you what, hats off for locking that out. But
Absolutely.
I would be shocked if he's got another deadlift in him. But it was a hell of a pull.
Lost his back position as he started the pull, but I think it was just so heavy.
It's definitely at his top end.
Berber from Turkey next, 255. Again, gone up 15. And that is stuck to the floor.
Not today.
No lift for Bear on this occasion. 260 is the next weight on the bar.
Just could not get that to break from the floor. Luke Rogers, 260.
10-kilo jump. Opener, obviously he hit it, but it was some work. We'll see how 10 kilos slows. Yeah.
Hips come up a little bit early, makes that hard pull.
But he gets it. Yep. 2-1.
Got one red card. It was a red card for lockout.
See those knees and shoulders.
I think his knee was a little bit soft on one side.
The bar is loaded. 262.5 kilos.
Jan Simo from Austria, 262.5. 10-kilo jump.
Still 12.5-kilo below his personal best. I'm expecting this to move well.
I think the weight got in front of him. I think it just rolled out a little bit as he started to pull it, and that makes it all the harder to pull that weight back.
Yeah, it becomes exponentially more difficult once that bar gets away from you.
Just rolled in front of him as he pulled.
Yeah, it did, didn't it? And then he pulls it back in at the end, but it was already shaky and not going to pass.
I think if he gets that pull right, though, I think he can get that on his final attempt, if he's got the energy left.
Proper adjustments.
Javier Caranti, 267.5. 5-kilo PB.
Nice pull. A lot
Easy.
more left.
Would you say he had another 12.5? I know he was thinking about the Spanish record.
I would say 12.5 is reasonable.
Okay. David Kavka, 275. Still within the range of deadlifts he has pulled successfully in competition.
Bar is loaded. 275 kilos. David Kafka.
The standard here on deadlifts is insane. These are 74-kilo lifters.
Yeah, lots of big pulls. And due to that, it can be tough to foresee how this is going to turn out, depending who hits, who misses.
That's a good
Good lift.
Good lift for Kafka. 275.
He does ramp a tiny bit. I mean, he didn't. There was no supporting. He didn't rest the bar on his legs. But I think when that gets heavy, we might see his knees slip under the bar, and then the bar just rests on the legs, drawing blue cards.
280 kilos, Riccardo Angelini.
Riccardo Angelini looks fired up for 280.
It'll be a personal best. Oh, wow.
It's a tough one, but I think he's got it.
I would agree with you, and the judges do too. However, it's got to be said, that was a fairly difficult second attempt.
It looked like a third, didn't it?
Yeah, the engine starts revving right there. You see the knee shaking. He locks it out. Great pull, but I'm thinking a pretty small third is coming in for him.
280 now. Repeated attempt for Yakov Yonin from Kazakhstan. I mean, the weight looked comfortable. He just lost his balance at the top.
Well, it's a little slower at the top than I would have expected this time. And 3 whites, but Yakov, who was in the lead and looking like a solid favorite going into dead, suddenly appears vulnerable.
He does appear vulnerable, but there are 6 lifters within 2.5 kilos of
Right.
him.
And going into the deadlifts, he looked like not an over-the-top favorite, but certainly in the lead. And now,
I said he'd be hard to catch.
You know, and
I
it's
was completely wrong.
a big shakeup.
I can't remember seeing 6 lifters with a spread of 5 kilos before. Here's Chris Wong. He has looked strong today. Lifter from Scotland. Moved well.
You know what? 20 kilo slowed him very little there. I expect another big jump from Chris.
292.5 is the next weight on the bar.
And when you're making 20 kilo jumps like that, you're going to cover some ground quickly.
Following 292.5 kilos, Alexander Eriksson of Sweden.
Sweden's
He
own.
forgot to take his headphones out.
Looked a little sheepish there.
He did.
Look at if he hits this, he's right back in the mix. Wow, yeah.
It's going, and it has gone.
And you see him at the top, close his eyes. He's like, oh, I hit it.
Yeah.
We're back. Look at there, the smile on his face. Alexander living up to the hype for the home nation crowd.
Well, he's gone straight to the top of the table. Not everyone has done their third deadlift yet, but he knows he's back in the fight.
Almost breathed a sigh of relief when he hit that. The dream is still alive, but Yakov, it's likely a placeholder, has himself with a 305 dead. If he hits it, he's going to finish with a 740 total, which is by far his best
Like I
of
say,
his career.
Ericsson's put in 307.5. They're all going to want to put in the highest third, so they have the power to react.
And they could change it twice.
Yeah. I expect to see a huddle around the table of coaches at the end.
Yeah.
Well, here's Joshua Wright, 295. His opener at 285 looked great.
Oh, nice pull.
That slowed down a bit from his opener. Did not look right on the limit, though.
Wright is really putting people on notice. If you didn't know him before, you know him now. Having the day of his life on this platform.
Really he is. He has announced himself to the world. Jakub Unal with 300.
15-kilo jump. Took a medal in the squat event.
Difficult break from the floor.
Oh,
Now, the rules say that the shoulders can settle back. If the bar dips as the shoulders settle, that isn't a fail. One referee did think the bar dipped, or maybe that was for supporting. But 2-1 is a good lift.
it's a good lift, but it doesn't leave a lot of room for his third. If he's going to pull for the podium, which all of these gentlemen are, in the top 6, it would appear, he might get left off the podium. Here comes Rambo.
PB attempt, 310.
He looks intense.
He really does. You would not bet against him getting this. His opener looked great.
20 kilos up from his opener.
And he's got plenty more to come.
Listen,
wow.
If that's a personal best, I don't know where he's going from there, but that was 20 kilos increased on his opener. What do you think?
Record is 322. That's 12 kilos more, but he looked great for it. He really did.
It really depends what they think he's got to pull for the win, and he's probably pulling last, which is a great advantage because they'll load the bar, obviously, with no more than he needs.
You know, if it was me, if I was coaching, I'd put the world record on.
Yeah.
And then
as a placeholder,
sure. Absolutely. And then if it doesn't matter, go out for it, have a go at it. But the world title is the big prize.
Absolutely.
Sean McGrory, 250.
As it stands now, Rambo and Erickson neck and neck at 717.5 with Yakov just 2.5 kilo behind them.
We still have that spread of 5 kilos over the top 5. Angelini just dropping out of contention now. Gets it moving. Gets it to the top. Great pull and a 5 kilo PB for Sean McGrory. Berber next, Turkey, 255. He missed this, didn't he, on his last one?
That's right. He's retaking 255. If he gets it, he'll finish his day with a 560 total, matching his previous personal best.
55 kilos, Muhammad Ali Berber, Turkey.
I wonder if he's coming out for it.
45 seconds.
So quite often, if you decide you're not going to attempt your final lift, you will leave the weight on and we'll run the clock, and that gives the rest of the lifters a bit more recovery time. Cuts the recovery time if the lifter scratches completely.
Now the world open record is 322. I don't see that in anyone's attempt yet. But this is
he's not coming out, is he? I don't know, maybe it's worth just coming out for your final pull, give it a go, see if it moves. He's chosen not to on this occasion, so we are running the clock down.
Good time to give a quick shout out to our sponsors. Want to thank Alico, who in the 11th hour gave us their headquarters as a venue, as well as SBD, sponsored the IPF World Championships, several of the national teams and lifters, helping this all come together.
We also have StrengthLog, the Swedish app that you can use to record your workouts and PBs. They're a local company that sponsor this competition too. And we have Shiva Karut now coming out for 265 for his final deadlift.
265 kilos for Shiva Karut, Lebanon.
Second was tough. I think 10 kilos was a big ask now.
Yeah, the second was definitely looked like a third.
I would maybe have put 5 kilos on there, I think. But maybe there's a specific target or goal he's got, a national record, something like that. Why not go out for it?
20 seconds.
Oh, slow up the floor, but it's coming.
Got that moving.
Holy smokes.
That is so much heart to keep pulling on that bar. He said, yep, 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 as he started to pull, but it just would not go for him.
It looked for a second there. He had some momentum coming once he broke it off the ground.
Left him with 255 and a 615 total.
262.5. He's not letting that stop him. He's going for 2.
Jan Simo missed 262.5 for his second, gone up to 267.5. We can see some changes start to come in through the field now.
Bar is loaded. 267.5 kilos. Jan Simo of Austria.
Jan Simo, 267.5.
Oh, pauses at the knees as well.
Not today for Jan at 267.
Leaves him with best of 252.5 and a 602.5 kilo total.
Everybody's extending themselves and sometimes overextending themselves in the thirds. And that's when things are going to get interesting as we get closer to the top 5, which, as you said, is very much clustered closely together.
Both of whom have made one change already.
We have Javier Quirante from Spain.
The bar is loaded.
Just a little bit below. He was thought maybe if he was feeling good he'd have a go at the national record, but this is just a little bit below that. But still 275. 5 red plates. It's a good looking deadlift. Are you trying for the opposite of a commentator's curse? Are we going to see green lights now? David Kavka, 280. We know he's pulled 280.5.
Bar loaded. 280 kilos. David Kafka, Poland.
Polish national record breaker in the deadlift. Looking to go 3 for 3 in his 2021 Worlds campaign.
It's going. Oh, yeah, no. It was going and then it wasn't. So no lift for him.
We have a sea of red for the third attempts.
292.5 kilos for Yakov Ionin, Kazakhstan.
This is surprising.
Yeah.
Is he going to change? We're still cleaning the bar, so we've still got time to put a change in.
Yeah, he's up. I don't see his coaching
he's
staff.
coming out for. He's not pulling for the win. This is a massive surprise.
Well, if he pulls, I mean, it'll put him temporarily in the lead with a lot of other lifters to go, though. So
you're right.
maybe
right.
he's expecting. I mean, we have a lot of failures in third, so
Yeah,
it's not
sure.
a totally insane strategy. He's maxing out what he believes to be his potential on the day and just hoping for the best. He's going to get out pulled, and they know it. You got to be realistic, so we'll see.
So get every kilo you can possibly get.
And
He's not getting it.
that looked like a little down up. So
Yeah, I don't think he's getting that. He thinks he has.
he's trying to
but
sell
no,
it
he
almost.
hasn't.
Yeah. He's trying to sell it to us, but the judges weren't buying.
No. So we had, to be honest, my money was on him for the win. And the best he can do now is third.
Right. And he might even get pushed right off the podium, might even get pushed off the top 5. This has been such a shake-up coming into the deadlifts. Looked like a solid favorite, and now what are we talking about if he's not even in the top 5?
Could not have called any of this.
However, we still have only had one successful third, so
Wow.
it's
Yeah, okay, so Riccardo Angelini now he's coming out for 295. This is 15 kilos up.
and 280 was difficult, 15 kilo more, but he's a lot more hyped up.
This puts him in the world championship position. This is pulling for gold.
Yeah.
Got it moving, but I don't think he can get that any further. That was a valiant effort.
You know, it's a valiant effort, and pulling for gold is a gutsy move. I don't, you know, it's a tough decision. It's the IPF World Championships. Maybe tell himself, I'm not pulling for bronze. I'm not pulling for silver. Load it up for the gold, but it's tough. We are still only one successful third.
And we still couldn't call who's going to take this.
No, it's still anybody's game.
We've got Chris Wong coming out for 295. He's done 290 in the past, so this is a 5 kilo PB.
I will say this, 285 was smooth for Chris. I think we're going to see another successful third.
This will give him the deadlift bronze for the moment anyway. We still have another 4 pulls to come after this.
I suspect 10 kilo may slow him, but I don't think it'll bow him. We're back on track.
That's a good lift for Chris.
We're back on track.
We have a successful deadlift. Wow. Okay, so we have Alexander Eriksson coming out for a 12.5 kilo PB. He pulled a 2.5 kilo PB for his second.
This will put him into first place. He's trying to extend all of the other lifters who are pulling after him without overextending himself.
He's asking for the crowd support, and he is the hometown hero.
This might win him the world championship. It all comes down to this.
I can't believe it. I thought his grip was going. He held on to it.
3 white lights.
Good lift.
And Eriksson has done it, pulled himself into the gold medal position, if temporarily. And what a turnaround from the squat event for Sweden's own Alexander Eriksson.
That was such a brilliant pull. I don't think he could have got 1 more kilo up. He looked like he was going to struggle to lock it out. He locked it out. It looked like his grip was going to go. He held on to it. And he is now at the top of the table.
Excellent attempt selection by Team Sweden as per usual. Is it enough? We're going to find out. We have 3 more deadlifters to go, and they're all within range.
Joshua Wright, 305.
No change on Joshua Wright's third, so he is not pulling for the win. Pulling for silver.
You must think this is his limit. This will be his deadlift PB coming into this competition was 2.8 to 2.5, and this is 305 on the bar.
Different strategy than the Italians. Let's see if it pays off.
Pull for what you can get.
Right.
You got this. You got this.
30 seconds.
Winds it up. Sits in. And not quite.
And you see why. Look, they're playing within the limit. They realize gold polling is out of question at this point. We're a little bit fatigued. And you see here, pulling for silver even was a big ask.
So he's off the podium.
Change.
He's off the podium. It looked like he was really in contention for a while.
We got another change attempt as well.
We are loading.
Okay, so we have Rambo coming out next for 315.
Rambo, I was going to say, is Rambo not pulling for the win? That'd be surprising, but another change. Yes, okay, Rambo will pull for the win, but so is Ooh now.
Unal.
Holy
Yeah, so
smokes.
Unal put 317 on. Rambo had 315. The Turkish lifter put 317 on. Rambo's replied, or his coaches have replied, with 320. So he wants to go second. He wants to know what he can do. And he has the higher lot number, so he can drop to 317 if this lifter doesn't get it. This is a big pull for Jakob Unal. PB is 290. Oh, it was.
700 pounds even, could move from 5th place to 1st place. And we told you, top 5 are all in reach. We weren't lying. Let's see what happens.
Pulling for the World Championship title.
Team Sweden watching in the monitors with bated breath.
And it's not going. So we're going to see Rambo drop to 317 now.
I would assume so. All right, how many changes has he used up, though?
One, just one.
Okay.
He's not changing. I can't see anyone at the table.
Are they about to call bar loaded? Yes, they are about to.
He's coming out for 320. He must think he's got this. They're cleaning the bar.
705 pounds.
But that's the coach, isn't it? He's there. He's waiting to come out. He's coming out for 320.
Okay, gotcha. He's Alexander Eriksson.
He needs it, yeah.
Yeah, he does need 320. Sorry.
He's lighter by 40 grams than Eriksson. So he can match him on total with this pull.
Here he comes. Rambo. Oh, wow.
He's bringing some intensity to this. His 310 looked like he had another 10 in him. No, it
Gets
just
pulled off.
went.
Are you okay, Paul?
It just went in front of him, and he could not. He could not pull. It looks like he just blacked out a little bit as he started to pull. And that gives Alexander Eriksson the World Championship title.
The Swede clinching the gold, Rambo taking the silver, and Yakov of Kazakhstan taking the bronze medal in a hotly contested 74-kilo class.
Paul Rambo really is on his feet. He's waving to the crowd. He is okay. He just went grey as he started to pull. That was such an incredible competition. Looked like Alexander Eriksson was out of contention and his competition had got away from him, and he came back at the last and won here in Sweden.
You know what? He showed a champion's heart after the squat event, coming forward with just one squat. Lost a lot of ground, and if we're honest, we all were kind of a stitch doubtful on his chances. Yakov looked very strong, but Alexander Eriksson, pulling himself together like a champion does, rallied and caps off a great deadlift session, clinching the gold medal in his home nation, no less.
15 kilos separated the top 5 at this level. That is incredible. And Joshua Wright, we didn't see him coming. He's finished in 4th place.
Great coming out party for Joshua Wright, and it was a great session. Look, don't go anywhere. We have the medal ceremony coming up from Six Pack Lapidat and Joe Whiteley. Till next time.
First of all, the participation medals. Great job, guys. An absolute pleasure. Okay, everyone has their participation medals. We are ready to present the medals, first of all, for the individual lifts. Squats, with 255 kilos, taking the bronze medal from Turkey, Jakob Unal. It's the one on the left, the one on the left. Well done, Jakob. Silver medal position, just 2.5 kilos ahead. From Kazakhstan, Jakob Yonin. And the gold medal on squat, again, just 2.5 kilos ahead. From France, Paul Ramboville. Well done, gentlemen. Epic stuff. Thank you. We now move to bench press. Thanks, gentlemen. Taking the bronze medal on bench press. Again, all of these efforts separated by just 2.5 kilos. From Germany, Joshua Wright. Silver medal position, 177.5 kilos. From Kazakhstan, it's Jakob Yonin. For the gold medal on bench press with 180 kilos from Sweden, Alexander Eriksson. Thank you, gentlemen. And now the medals for deadlift. Thank you. Everyone got the shots? Yeah. So, the bronze medal on deadlift with 300 kilos from Turkey, Jakob Unal. Well done, sir. Silver medal on deadlift, 302.5 kilos from Sweden, Alexander Eriksson. And taking the gold medal on deadlift with 310 kilos from France, Paul Ramboville. Well done, Paul. Glad you're okay. Well done, gentlemen.
Thank you.
And now, thank you, we are ready to present the overall medals and crown the new world champion. In bronze medal position overall with 715 kilos from Kazakhstan, Jakob Yonin. The silver medal overall with 717.5 kilos from France, Paul Ramboville. And taking the gold medal overall and your new 74 kilo open world champion. From Sweden, Alexander Eriksson. Ladies and gentlemen, please be upstanding for the national anthem of Sweden. Round of applause to Sweden's new world champion in 74 kilo class. Thank you, gentlemen. If you could join the line and follow Jeff off the platform. Music maestro, please.
Well done, boys.